Okay, hello everybody. It's time for another little non-duality chat. And today we're here with Ryan. Hello. Good morning. How are you today? How are you today?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so nice to see you. I've binge watched a lot of your videos over the last couple of days. Oh.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah, it's such a nice flow. Like I feel like something's really like kind of coming through you or something. I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm.
I wanted to start with just asking, how would you describe non-duality, or what would you say about non-duality for starters?
Well, there's different types of non-duality. But I think to put it succinctly, it's when the separation of the perceived subject object split dissolves either as a either as a temporary state or as a realization. So in the ordinary person, there's a sense that they are clearly separate from what is happening. There's a perceived subject and a perceived objective world. Non-duality is just the dissolution of that dichotomy. Yeah, it turns out that you can't actually find this thing called a subject, and you can't actually find this thing called an object. So the two things which appear to be different are actually the same thing. Yeah, I think that's how I would describe it. Some people would call it unity, non-dual union. But unity implies that there were two things that became one, which is not really the case. It's just non-dual just means not two. So yeah, main one is that there's a difference between mind and what appears. Like there's my mind or consciousness, and then there's reality. And the consciousness, excuse me, the reality or experience is appearing to consciousness, and there that's the dualistic split. But when you look for the mind, you only find what is appearing. Ultimately, there's just what's happening, and the sense of a perceived subject is within that field of happening. Yeah, the clear distinctions and dichotomies are not actually findable nor verifiable. So it turns a lot of these perceptions and positions are, yeah, the reference points. They're um, within our frameworks and beliefs. Yeah.
So how was it when this subject-object split dissolved for you? Like, how did that happen for you?
I did a quite well. It's a funny question because like to answer that question, you have to step into the idea of process and duration, right? Like it is true that at a certain point in time, this thing happened to me, um, or at least appeared to. Um, it's true that up to a certain point, or, but that before that day, I really did believe I was a person going somewhere, and I really did have a goal called enlightenment. So yeah, I started seeking pretty young. I had a near-death experience when I was 18. But before that, I didn't, wasn't interested in any of this. But that's really where it all began. And so I sought. I don't even have anything against seeking, whatever.
What did you seek at that point? Like, what did you want?
God. Yeah,
Mm.
I wanted the secrets of the universe to be revealed. I wanted to understand what this whole thing was. How did I end up here? What did I exist before? Um, if I did, how did I end up in existence again? What will happen at death? What is the dying process? Is there actually a cycle of rebirth or reincarnation? The question specifically, like, who am I, for example, like that wasn't a particularly important question. I just wanted to know all, I just wanted to know what the Buddha knew, basically. So, yeah, and the near death, it was such a profound, I died and I disappeared, and there was just this infinity, this ocean of 10 billion suns. Yeah, I didn't know or remember that I existed as a person at all. None.
Mm.
So when I returned here from that, yeah, I just never had context um for something of that magnitude. So it really set me off in a whole direction of wanting to understand more about all of this. Yeah, so I did a lot of practice leading up to that falling away or shift, some people will call.
Was it
Yeah,
mainly meditation, or did you do other things as well?
mostly meditation. Yeah, like a 3-month retreat. I lived in Thailand for a year at a monastery, another time, and got involved in cults and all kinds of stuff.
Hmm. Proper cult.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You gotta have the cult experience once. So at least once.
Wow.
So,
How did you get out of it? Like, what made you leave?
well, it's like I don't know. Is your audience like more into the non-dual stuff, or there's some mystic? They're also interested in the mystical side of things.
I don't know. However, whoever happens to watch it. I mean, I don't have a
Okay,
community.
okay. Well, um, it's not so the teacher that I was studying, she's much more famous now than she used to be. I won't say her name, but yeah, she has a lot of disciples between Singapore and China, and so we would go to different sacred sites in China, like tombs of famous emperors and stuff like that, empresses, and we would do a type of Tai Chi or energy raising practice there, and they were family oriented events, so like a couple hundred people would show up, and the price tag was always low for those. But I noticed this, you know, once I saw this happen like 5 times or 4 or 5 times, and I kind of caught on to what was going on. So we would go to these uh, sacred places, sometimes to the tomb, sometimes to uh, places where many people were either buried or have died. And we do the energy raising practice, and then like almost immediately, people would contact us and say they were having problems like nightmares and hauntings and things like that. Or there were some calamities that would start to come up within days. And then she'd say, "Yeah, I'll fix it for you for 10,000, 15,000, $20,000." So once so basically she was, helping cause the problem and then providing the solution. So I saw that enough times, and then a couple of my friends, uh, as a result of those energy practices, which can be unsafe, like the openings, I was able to handle it, but they weren't. They ended up having psychotic episodes and were both institutionalized. Yeah, my I was the top disciple in California, but the ones that were closest to me and that I lived with, they both went insane.
Mm.
So I've actually really seen, like, when people say, "Oh yeah, there's a dark side of meditation," like they have no idea actually. Yeah, like getting a little like afraid is only that's the tip of the iceberg compared to what I've seen. Yeah, so one of them was institutionalized for a month, and the other one for a whole year. So yeah,
Okay,
and
but
yeah,
no, but
and they were not crazy people before that, because I lived with them, so I knew, you know. Yeah.
but you continued with your practice after you left. Or I mean, you
Oh
obviously
yeah,
did
yeah,
a
for
lot of
sure.
different things. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what, like,
I did all kinds of
yeah,
stuff.
how did it unfold?
Actually, it was so this was like I think it was my seventh. I had been practicing now at this point before this shift for 7 years. So yeah, or longer, I think maybe yeah, it was 7 or 8 years, and it was right after, like within days actually of leaving. No, actually, it literally happened like 2 days after I left. Because I was in this thing and the community was big, and I was the appointed successor for this area of the whole thing. And then, actually, no, I was just the appointed successor, period. And when I left China, on the flight back here, so I must have been 25 or 26 at the time. I was reading Ramana Maharshi, and I read Ramana already. I had read Ramana and listened to all these guys, because I was always very interested in Zen and Vedanta. So despite doing just like a more energetic approach those years with her, I think I was involved for 3 years. I was still always studying Buddhism and non-duality. So I was on the plane and flying back. There was a line in the book that said, "Moksha, liberation, is to know that you were never born." And like I read those lines, and I was like, "What does that even mean?" And I just started shaking and sweating profusely, which is not normal. Just started uncontrollably shaking and sweating. I was like, "What is happening?" And then it just passed, it just stopped, and that was it. Yeah, nothing unusual. And then the next morning, I'm driving to work. So now I'm back in Orange County, California, and I'm on the freeway, and it just bang in one flash of a second. I couldn't tell where my hands were. I couldn't tell where my hands ended and the steering wheel began. And it was like this force entered my heart and cracked open, and like I could feel the hearts of all the people in the cars driving around me. It was like we were nodes or neurons in the brain of supreme intelligence. And I realized why they call this awakening, like consciousness. I recognize the awakeness quality of consciousness, or of this, which was never apparent before. Like up until that moment, I had no direct taste or recognition of the awakeness of it all. It just was not there. And in that 1 second, it was, and it was like it blasted everything apart. Um, I couldn't sleep. or I didn't need to sleep actually. I was in almost unbroken presence and silence for 10 days. Samadhi completely. And yeah, I couldn't even function very well. Like I just sat there at my office staring at my computer, just trying to process this loan because I was a loan officer at the time. And I just couldn't. I just stared at the screen. My boss was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "You should just go home." And I was like, "Yeah, I think I will." I just checked out, and the mind was so naturally drawn to just sitting at the time, just cross-legged. Yeah, it was weird. It's like this whole, yeah, there was like this magnetic quality of like being dragged to the floor and crossing my legs and sitting, and all kinds of weird things happened during that time, but I actually don't talk about a lot of it because it just sounds too crazy. But that whole opening lasted 10 days, and yeah, after the 10 days it faded. Specifically, this like the ego starts to kick back in, and I started to
Mm,
the ego just starts to claim what has happened
mm,
as something that it accomplished. I called my best friend. I said, Ricardo, it happened. And he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I said, "I entered enlightenment." And like within 4 hours or something, it all shut down,
mm,
and that triggered a very intense dark night, and about a process that probably lasted a couple more years, 2 or 3 more years until that sense of perceptual duality and the realness of the narrative, personality narrative. I think it took a couple more years for that to stop.
So did
Uh,
it go back completely to how it was before? It was
yeah,
10 days and then. Mm.
snap back 100%
Oh.
to what it was before. Like it didn't even happen. Yeah.
Mm.
So that was difficult to handle at the
Hmm.
time. Yeah.
So did you go back into seeking as well then to get back to it, or I mean,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. E- even more than before.
mm,
Yeah, so that had to get burned out, and that took time. Yeah, I mean, I never really meditated as hard as I did in the early years. Like first 2, 3 years of my life and practice, I really pushed it in an unhealthy way. So I never did that again. But yeah, I mean, right after the shift, I went off and did a retreat for 9 months because it changed everything. I was like, what the hell am I doing? Work trying to become a loan officer. Like one, I suck at this. The two, I don't want to do it. And three, this incredible thing has happened, and I'm wasting my time. I should attend to this. This is the most important thing. So yeah, I quit my job and I went off and lived in Thailand for a year. And I come from a whole, since I was 16, 17, I was introduced to like a Theravada lineage within Thailand, within the Thai tradition, uh, Thai Buddhism. And yeah, so that was always like my home temple and my home tradition, but the technique at least was so difficult for me that I wanted to try other things, and I was always explorative. So, but after a whole thing cracked open, I didn't know what else to do, so I just returned to my tradition. And it's not Theravada Buddhism is not non-dual particularly. So it's quite dualistic in many regards. But it was a thing that I knew, and I knew there had to be someone in my temple, and because it's a large, very large community. I was like, there has to be someone out of these 4,000 monks and nuns that's enlightened. Like, I need help. And so that's what I went looking for, and yeah, I found that person, and I stayed with them for a year. You know,
How did they guide you? Or like,
very differently from my other teachers, actually. He kind of didn't talk much, and he had been in a retreat when he came out of a retreat that he had been in for 15 years. So by the time I met him, he'd already been a monk. He'd already been or a monk for 30 years, and half of that was in retreat. So he was a very different kind of person. I never met anyone like him. Yeah, I just ask him questions, and he'd be like, "Yeah, uh-huh. Okay, where were we again? Yeah, that's how it was with him. You know, like
was it
sometimes he
clear
was,
that he was the one for you? Like when you were like
yeah,
choosing someone? Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think in the whole time that I was with him, I only annoyed him once. So it was very rare to meet someone like that. Yeah. And being around him, it was like being in space. So yeah, he did give me pointers, right? Like he told me things to do and in regards to the practice and what to focus on, but it was mostly him. Like he didn't have to say much. I mean, we there are entire days that passed when I was with him, and we didn't say more than 5 words to each other. But I was with him. I would drive him here and there and take him wherever he needed to go. So
Mm. So you spent all the time together.
a lot of time, yeah,
Mm. For which period? For how long a period?
for 9 months. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. He needed a driver after he came out of this long period of practice. He had different appointments and meetings, and yeah, someone else could have been appointed to take him, right? But he also needed to brush up on his English, and so I helped him with both of those things, and he taught me. Uh, yeah, guided my practice, and basically in exchange for that,
So how did it end? That phase?
I became a monk at the end for a short period of time. I was still like I was so all over the place in those days. I wasn't like what I am now. And I was still very much a kid, even though 26 is pretty old. But I was I didn't make the best use of being around someone like that for sure. Yeah, I wasn't as focused as I could have been. I would pick him up late and stuff. It was horrible. Like like one of the big shot masters, I would pick him up late. It's terrible. And so yeah, so after the last like 3 months I was there, he said, "Hey, you should become a monk, like a junior monk. Just go and do it. It'll be good for you." So I went, and during that time, um, yeah, a lot of insights came, personal insights, I mean, which was like there were just things that I left that I just didn't do well back at home. I left a lot of things undone. Like up until that point, in terms of the character and the personality, I never really had success in anything. I watched my dad die when I was 18, and I suffered a teenage life, suffered most of my life with him being on drugs, specifically crack and meth and all this stuff. So I had a pretty fucked up childhood. He was a good guy, but I mean, he was a good man, He didn't beat me or anything, but I just saw drugs like destroy a person slowly and destroy my family. So I had all this really serious baggage, and it didn't matter how much spiritual practice I did. I couldn't get past my case. Like just couldn't stop feeling like a failure. Like, I messed it all up because I couldn't save him, and the trauma of watching him die replaying in my head and feeling lost for so many years. I couldn't get past it. And so yeah, like the awakening and everything accelerated. I was in Thailand and I still was a mess, still couldn't get it together. I never had any mental health diagnoses or anything like that. But I just couldn't get my head right and get out of being lost and confused. So those 3 months showed me that like I really didn't handle certain areas of my life well, and that I was using non-duality and spirituality to run away from my responsibilities and incapacity to do anything useful with my life.
Hmm. Did you realize that when you became a monk?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I saw that like yeah, the seeking and wanting to know more about yourself and life and even getting very serious about it, that's all fine. But there was just a way I was going about life that was callous. Like it wasn't right. I was just would be in a relationship for a while, it'd fall apart, would stay at a job for a while. I'd start performing poorly, it'd fall apart. I'd go from one thing to the next, one person to the next, one place to the next, one teacher to the next, one trip to the next, not really getting all the lessons in the place that I was before moving on to the next thing. I was blind, you know. And so when I became a monk and there was a 3 month period of practice and I was in the robes and you have to follow the monastic rules of celibacy, like all of that really helped. Um, it helped me see not necessarily that there's like a right and wrong way to do your life, right? But there is a sense there is this little voice, inside, and this sense when you've gone down a wrong road, that what you're doing isn't actually for you, but you don't want to give up, you don't want to admit that you were wrong. It's intuition. So that all became clear. It was like I'm running away from my life. I'm running. I'm still running.
Mm.
Since my dad died, I was running, and I was like, I don't want to run from my life anymore. I've had enough. And the non-duality during that whole year, it didn't come back even. I mean, maybe I had a few hours of it within that year, but for the most part, it wasn't there. So I was like, hey, I have to go back. I have to go back and fix my stuff. Like I have debt. Uh, yeah, I just gotta fix my life. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's like, what are you even saying? He's like, just stay. Like you could. I was like, yeah, I never succeeded in anything though. And he's like, what's that? You know what I mean? Yeah, it was so funny. It was like he knew that I was serious and that I was really suffering. But this always happens. Like when someone becomes a monastic or they go into a retreat for a long time, they have all this stuff come up. It's like normal. It's just normal. So he had seen it. He'd already seen all this with so many people. And he's like, yeah, okay. Well, if you really don't want to stay, if you want to go back, you'll go ahead. Mm, you've done enough training this year. And yeah, so that's what I did. Yeah, I left. I left. I left. I came back home, and very soon after, I got a job teaching meditation at a school and at a private school in Hollywood, and I was able to get those parts of my life that I was neglecting. I was able to get a handle on those things, and I have matured a lot in the 3 years after that year-long retreat, and as a result of yeah, getting it. I mean, I can't say as a result of getting a handle on things, this like collapse occurred. I'm not, I wouldn't say that's entirely true, but yeah, I did get a handle on things, and at the same time, the dualistic split like permanently collapsed.
Mm.
Yeah, there's depth to, uh, yeah, like some people say, oh, it's just, it's just this unity and it's just this one happening. There's actually no stages and no depth of awakening. And yeah, it's complete bullshit. There's levels of this that I think are dangerous. Seriously. Like the reason that there's levels of this that if I was to touch someone and give this to them, they would go insane.
Yeah, it's
Just
intense.
yeah, just point blank, you would lose it. So it's really not that it's just this like power of now. It's quiet, it's quiet, it's peaceful, like your narrative story ceases. Now there's just immense freedom and you're liberated from the personality. Like that's the beginning. I mean that yeah. That's just the beginning of life in the spirit. So so yeah, but but that is enough. Like when you can when that first taste of egolessness becomes stable, uh, it becomes clear that that the whole thing was worth it, you know. But it really, yeah, there really is a depth to the whole thing, and it's not to say that, some people are better than others or anything like that, but it's just there is a difference between someone that has been in this condition for 50 years as opposed to someone who's been in it for 5 days. There's a difference. The difference in their conveyance of the truth is a difference in the shakti or the transmission that's emanating from that person. There's a difference in their understanding. So,
So when was it the collapse for you? How many years ago now?
mm, I think I was 28. So 6 years. Yeah, it was 6 years.
Was it something that kind of triggered it, or it just, or I mean, were you
Oh
still
yeah,
focused spiritually during those 3 years when you were
oh yeah,
carry your life? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Even now, I practice. I practice a lot, and I teach a lot, right? But it's different. It's different in that it's like a game now or a dream, But at the time, yeah, I was still seeking quite a bit, and how it happened was I had read a commentary on Buddhism's Bahiya discourse. There's the famous lines that go, "In seeing, there's only the seen; in hearing, there's only the heard; in feeling, there's only what is felt; in thinking, there's only what is thought." This being so, Bahiya, you're neither in that nor with that. And because you're not in that, which is referring to experience, because you're not in that or with that, because you're neither here nor there, neither of this world nor the next, nor in between the two, there's no you. This alone is the end of suffering. I read that so many times. I'm a Theravada guy, right? Read that whole discourse so many times. Never had an effect, but I read a guy's commentary on it. His name's Thusness
Hmm.
or John Tan, and he said he was studying this discourse, and a gong was struck at a Zen temple, and he realized that the perceived separation of the witness consciousness type realization, which is that there's an unbound awareness that everything, um, yeah, there's this unbound awareness that is separate from what's happening, but at the same time, it is it's what everything is. This is like Vedanta, right? So I had this type of realization before, and he said when the gong struck, he realized that the sound actually is awareness. Like it's not like the sound perceives awareness. Sorry, it's not like the awareness perceives sound. It's that sound and awareness are the same thing. Like the sound is awareness. And I was like, it was a weird moment. I was like, what? The sound is awareness. Like what's happening is consciousness. It's not the other way around. And there was just like this moment between moments. Uh, After reading this story, the images play in your head with the gong and everything. Yeah, is reading this story, and then a grandfather clock struck in my house.
Hmm.
Boom, and then like the walls started meditating, air was meditating, everything was meditating, everything was awake, and I was just laughing, just laughing. And I went into the shower, and all the drops of water on my face are awake. Everything was illumination. And I just thought there's no way this is gonna last. And even that thought was illuminated, right? Yeah, all of it. The whole field of happening and experience was one rolling continuous illumination. I was like, yeah, there's no way this is gonna last. And then it just never went away.
So
Yeah,
you
so
still
that
feel everything is awake, like that's your
yeah,
continuous experience or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's different now, but that's the basis. Yeah, it's like there's all.
How is it different now then?
It seems that the aggregates of experience or the domains of experience, like let's say feeling, right? Over time, these different domains get transformed. So this wasn't something that was apparent in the beginning. Um, yeah, so for example, the domain of feeling, like before awakening, all feeling is about you. Like it's about sadness, happiness, your moods. You want this, you want that. So the domain of feeling is really just limited to the personality. After awakening, the domain of feeling undergoes a very extensive and deep transformation. And when it has gone through this transformation, it begins to experience transcendent feelings, like otherworldly feelings, feelings that were not possible to the organism before. So, for example, eternity and infinity are actually textures within the domain of feeling. Like infinity has a specific taste, it has a specific feeling. So that's the difference. Like at that moment, sure, everything became appeared as illumination and appeared as awakening. Uh, but now it's the same one moment or the same one illumination, but the feelings and perceptions are very different compared to the beginning.
Mm.
Like before, yeah, like there's this whole range of things now. And yeah, I'd say there's a, I think people are different. Some people talk about like a deepening intimacy with life and stuff like that. I have no sense of that. Like
Mhm.
there is no life. I don't know what you're talking about. There's just this one. There's the one, but there's no life. The sense of process, the sense that I actually exist in time, the sense that I actually am here, the sense that I really lived, the sense that I was, the sense that I did all the things that I thought I did. The solidity and conviction and all that has died. So, yeah, like people talk about integration and embodiment and deepening the sweetness, the sweetness of life and the sweetness of it all. I think there's a sweetness to what's happening, right? But that there's a closeness or uh, a harmony with the idea with, right? Like that word with means that something
Mhm.
is then touching something else. Yeah,
But what about like
all,
immediacy is something people talk about. Like,
yeah, for sure. There's
do
that.
you see it like that?
Yeah, immediacy, now the presencing of everything. Sure, that's always the case, right? That's fundamental. And it's not that I'm aware all the time either, right? I'm not. This is the normal, ordinary state, but it doesn't mean that there's a tension on it constantly, right? That would require being in retreat or
Sorry,
having
what I meant was actually intimacy. That was the word I was looking for. Um,
intimacy. Oh,
yeah,
not immediacy.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah, okay. So immediacy is like the
yeah,
presencing of everything, right? Yeah. Intimacy is the closeness. Yeah.
yeah. If
No,
you
I
still
have
have
no,
that, you
I,
don't feel that.
I
Yeah.
have no sense I'm intimate with life. I don't know what that means anymore. Yeah. A lot of people and other non-dual teachers, they say, how would I put it? They're like, because people take the embodiment angle, like that's like the big orientation that they have, like returning to being in the world, being, it's like, oh, the whole point is to fully become human. Like I think that's a ridiculous idea. What do you mean fully become human? There is no human. What are you saying? It's all a dream. So there's really, uh all those stories of, yeah, you return to the world, and you return to life, and you live amongst the people, and all of there are no people. Yeah, it's not a it's not real. So
Maybe that's a good place to end. We already went for a long time, but wow,
oh yeah, yeah.
I feel like um, we could probably go for another hour, but
Yeah,
most of
yeah,
my thoughts are pretty
we could,
short, so
yeah, we could talk again. We could do a part two.
we
Yeah,
can do
look,
another
look,
one. Yeah.
yeah, I'll end with this. Like, look, it's not a denial of life, right? Like, I'm not saying like go live in a cave, right? There's no difference between caves and the place you are. It's just a difference in appearance, you know. It's different scenery, but it's all the same God. It's all the same Buddha. It's all Tao. It's all this. But um, and even the human saga stuff. That's all within this too. It doesn't exclude anything, but it's just that the capacity to take a trip and a story and a narrative seriously, you lose that capacity.
Mm.
It's like, because yeah, okay, return to the world. Now I get to play in the world. I'm like, play in what world? What are you even saying? It's a dream, you know.
But you're still doing,
My hands aren't real.
you're still doing something, apparently.
No, you're not. That's what I'm saying. It looks like you're doing something.
Hmm.
Yeah, like sure, you can take it from the angle that there's still an unfolding, right? Yeah, you could say that there's still this process in time. There's these lessons that come up and things that you're being taught, and life is always teaching you. You know, you're always learning. Sure, like not a denial of that, but it's also not the full picture, right? Like it's like there's lessons happening within something that is totally out in this, which is actually completely outside of time, yeah, outside of becoming. And still, you know, you have these lessons and stuff that you work through. So so it's not a denial of the, you know, yeah, life does touch you either way, right? The people you love and care about pass away, and your kids grow up, and all of that, and all of that's still there in the sense that, and in the experience of it happening, but it's within the context of like, oh, nothing is actually happening. Yeah, so that's the difference. Yeah, but yeah, let's talk again. Thank you for bringing me. Thank you for
Yeah, thank
bringing
you
me
so
on.
much. So nice to talk to you. I feel the transmission for sure, or some whatever it is, something. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're working with people. You're doing calls and things like that. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll put
Uh,
your details in the box so people can find you if they want to.
okay, great. And we can talk anytime. You know, if you want to do this sooner, um, just let me know, and I'll set it up with you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Andrea.
Uh, have a great day. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Much love. Take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.